Hello, I'm Laura Milkins. I'm an internationally recognized interdisciplinary artist from Tucson, Arizona, and I'm going in search of the Great America. This is a mobile radio lab traveling to every state in the Union, asking people to describe their Great America, past, present, and future. So obviously, I'm not going to physically travel to every state. Instead, I'm going to do this as a virtual project, asking librarians to invite someone from their community to be interviewed for the podcast. In these times of COVID-19, I think it's a perfect time to ask questions about national identity. Who are we? Who do we want to be? What kind of world do we want to live in? And that's the heart of this project. When Trump started saying, "Make America Great Again," I really wondered, what does that mean for who, how? I really want to know, what's your great America? I plan to interview people and ask them 5 simple questions. Where did you grow up and what was it like? Was there a time in history that you thought America was great? What's great about now for you? What's your great future look like? And the last question, which is, who are we when we are our best? And, the way it'll be presented is through a podcast, a weekly podcast, and weekly community produced videos. So I'm going to ask videographers in every state, in the biggest city and the smallest town in every state, to make short videos about where they live, capturing the visuals of the location and including some of the audio from the interviews. And then in the end in Tucson, it'll be presented as a screening of the videos and the audio. So this is a very collaborative project. It includes community participation, asking the librarians to nominate somebody in their community, asking people to talk about a creative visioning of a world that we want to live in, and going for the broadest demographics that we can to make that happen. I'm also going to collaborate with videographers in the community to show something about their community. It could be a place, a natural spot, just something that they feel captures something about their community. And then I have a resident historian, Tom Przalski, who lives here in Tucson, who is going to be answering the question, what was it like to live in that community at the time that people felt America was great, looking at who lived there and what was their experience of living there, good, bad, and otherwise. I'm going to have a demographics sheet that people fill out when they agree to do the interview and send to me. And then I'm going to show the librarians as I go along the route. I'm literally going to still follow the route that I plan to go in my camper van mobile radio lab. And as I go along, I'll say, these are the people I've already talked to. Consider that when nominating someone in your community, so that I get a really broad scope of who lives in this country, get wonderful stories, and ask people to envision their great America. So it'll be a giant collaboration with many, many, many people and a lot of moving parts. So I am a performance artist who doesn't perform. I do online interactive community involved projects. Every project I've done since 2007 deeply involved community collaboration and participation. So walking home stories, I walked from my house to my mom's house in Michigan with a live webcam on my head, staying in strangers' homes and asking people to walk with me and share a story. And the live videos streamed 24 hours a day along the route. And then I had videographers here in Tucson who produced 5-minute videos of the journey. Previous to that, I did Walking Stories Mexico, where I went to get to know my southern neighbors. I went to Mexico City and walked the longest avenue in the world, La Avenida de los Insurgentes, and asked people to walk with me. I would not walk unless someone would walk with me and share a story. I had 60 participants exactly, and we crossed the city in the middle of a pandemic. The H1N1 swine flu hit Mexico City. I watched the whole city shut down. I took precautions and didn't go anywhere for a week. And then when things were clear that it was okay, I went back out on my journey. So I'm very familiar with doing projects in the middle of a pandemic that really get to the heart of who are we, where do we live, what kind of world do we want to be in? Another project I forgot to mention is the Depression Session, which was a 3-year radio show and podcast where I asked people to describe their experience of depression and the things that helped them get through it. So my work is a little unusual even for performance art. Often performance art is contained within a space. Even when it has participation, it's in a location. And my work generally is very participatory and as a journey and as storytelling. The way this will be presented in Tucson is as a screening with both listening stations where people can put on headphones, interact with a map, pick a location and listen to the stories or watch the video. In addition to that, there will be a screening of the entire journey with the audio and video components of the entire experience. So that would be like the premiere night here in Tucson would show the entirety of the experience. And then in the gallery space would be left these listening stations where people could select what they wanted to hear about the journey. Ideally, this would be in a gallery or museum space. Now is not the best time to be asking those spaces for to present my work, but I've thought most of MoCA or maybe Steinfeld Warehouse, or even the museum if they were interested. Well, I plan to do a lot of press releases before this project begins on May 15th, as the journey ensues, and at the end. And so people would be invited into the space virtually as well as individually to come to the presentation. So there would be press releases and anybody and everybody in the community would be invited to come because I think it's a topic that hits home for everyone. As we sit home sequestered in our houses, I think everyone I know is thinking about their personal identity and their national identity. What happens in the midst of a pandemic is we really get to the heart of who we are and who we want to be. So I hope that showing this at the end would be kind of a clearing for that, and I hope to do it when this is blown over and we can go out again. The impact of this award would be twofold for me. One, it would give me the funds to pay videographers as they produce these short videos for me across the country. It will also allow me to have some exposure in the community because an award lets other people know that your work was valued. And that can be really important in people wanting to see it and feeling like it's a legitimate project. It legitimizes it for our community that somebody gave me funds for it. For me personally, it would just help financially and also for the same reason that it always helps to know that you're being supported by community organizations in your ventures.